Hi, Richard Swertudo here with the Paper Eye. In this section of the Paper Eye, we're going to be showing you some very unique art on paper that was produced in the mid-20th century. Now, these pieces of art on paper, these rock and roll posters, LP covers, lithographs, serigraphs, they are very difficult to find now. Therefore, we've archived them, and in high definition video, HD video, we're going to be showing you segments and individual posters in the future of each artist, the type of publication they came from, and the type of printing that was used. So here we've got one of our earliest acquisitions is a paper poster from Chick Corea's Return to Forever from the mid-1970s. In Return to Forever, a phenomenal fusion jazz band that he played with Stanley Clarke, Lenny White, and Al Di Meola, and they began, 30, 40 years ago. Then we've got another lithograph of the famous Jean Miro that came from a very famous publishing house from Paris. Here we have S. Clay Wilson, an underground comic artist that started out with Zap Comics in the mid-1960s. Cassandra's, Philips Television, the great Monterey International Pop Festival with, of course, we've got the Mamas and the Papas here, and Jimi Hendrix and Otis Redding. Here we have another Rick Griffin, Eye in the Storm. This is an iconic image of his that was used to market a multitude of items, including many, many, many rock and roll posters back in the day. Robert Crumb, his rendition on the old, very famous image, The Nightmare. Another Robert Crumb, 'Twas Ever Thus, with Mr. Natural. We have another great poster artist from the mid-1960s and 70s, Milton Glaser, who went on to create a multitude of, in particular, New York City music festival posters from that era. This is from Tomato, which was an LP company back in the day. Then on. Now here at the Paper Eye, we have our own personal Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. On this wall, we have posters that represent posters that were produced for rock and roll concerts in the 1960s and 70s. They represent some of the most famous rock and roll bands that were ever produced, along with art by some of the most famous rock and roll artists. To my right here at the top, I've got the famous Janis Joplin with Big Brother and the Holding Company in concert with, let's not forget, Canned Heat and Mother Earth. It's a Family Dog poster from the Family Dog series. Below it, I've got the famous Jimi Hendrix in an American Indian headdress. The Jimi Hendrix Experience at the Fillmore Auditorium. Now this poster is a blacklight poster that was produced in London by Hapshash and the Colored Coat. Again, we have another American Indian. That is a poster for a rock and roll concert with the Jefferson Airplane and Charlie Musselwhite. Below it is a Bill Graham poster series poster with another image of the iconic American Indian, and this poster had, in the concert series, it had Love with Arthur Lee, the James Gang, the first Black Sabbath rock and roll poster here, Sha Na Na, Elvin Bishop, and the Tower of Power. Above that, we've got, again, the famous Rick Griffin with the poster representing the cover of his underground comics, Tales from the Tube. Next to it is a rock and roll poster for the Quicksilver Messenger Service and Charlie Musselwhite depicting the Bleeding Heart. And this is, again, another Rick Griffin poster. Below that is a Rick Griffin poster from the Family Dog series, depicting an image of a Sunday comic strip series. Next to that is the famous Victor Moscoso, who was very famous for psychedelic posters back in the day and a lot of other graphic arts that he did at that time. And last but not least, we have another image by the famous artist Milton Glaser of Bob Dylan. This was a folded poster that was submitted with a double LP that came out with Bob Dylan's greatest hits in 1968. So that's it our own personal little rock and roll hall of fame. I'm Richard Swartudo, and this has been The Paper Eye. Thanks.